day to you. We are back with another Pocho podcast. Got some stuff to discuss today. Got some good content. We have the Super Bowl. We'll get to that. I was just able to watch the halftime show. I don't usually watch Super Bowl or the halftime show live, but because of all the hype, we had to we had to watch it afterwards. I watched it last night, so let's get into it. But we'll ramp up into that because we got some stuff to discuss about the identity of a Mexican. So here we see, you might be familiar with this image. They inserted and photoshopped the sombreros. They're on these ICE agents. So ICE, this is the incident that happened a few weeks back. It was identified that the two of the ICE agents were actually Hispanic. So that's sort of surprising that, ICE supposed to get out of the country Hispanics end up being Hispanics, Hispanics taking out Hispanics. So that's an interesting juxtaposition there. We have ICE agents, and so how does an ICE agent or how does a Hispanic become an ICE agent? And we can already know the narrative that a lot of people will say that you're not. How can you do this to your people? How can you be an ICE agent? Uh, a lot of people do it, so obviously there is a pretty good justification. There's no issue with it from their end. A lot of these ICE agents we've even seen are married to immigrants. So this is just just part of the whole dynamic of Mexican Americans. You can even call a Mexican American an American. That's not a big stretch. They're born in America. A Mexican American is an American, right? So let's go into this next like clip here. And this was came out like a few weeks back though, maybe a month or so back on this crazy lady's podcast. And this is Crystal Ball. You might know Crystal Ball from when she had on Candace Owens, and Candace Owens just destroyed her on a whole race topic that they were going off of. And this is sort of a similar type of situation where Crystal Ball sort of does the same thing, but for Hispanics. Like Hispanics are supposed to be a certain way, they're supposed to act a certain way, they're supposed to think a certain way. And so we have this white leftist progressive lady telling Hispanics or Mexican Americans how they're supposed to be, which is totally ridiculous. And she just like sensationalizes this whole narrative. And we'll go ahead and listen to this and just analyze it here.
Minorities in ICE.
I mean, that connects to this, right?
Yeah.
It's like, not only do you have no moral compass, and how many times have you seen these guys? They've got their masks on, so you can't see their whole face. But what you can see, it's like a brown skin tone and a dude who looks like his last name is probably like Lopez or Hernandez or something. It's like, what is wrong with you? Not only do you not have morality, apparently you don't have self-preservation.
So she goes to the morality, trying to guilt the Hispanic, the Mexican American, who's probably perfectly just fine, doing his border patrol job or ICE job. But then she brings in the self-preservation. I doubt anyone would go into a position or into a job where the company or the people within that company are out to destroy you and kill you. Uh, I imagine this is probably a majority of Hispanics that are in ICE or that are in Border Patrol. If you ever travel from Mexico to the US, you'll see that. And they have to speak Spanish, or they usually know Spanish just in case, and they're able to speak to Mexicans who cross and everything like that. So it's just sort of ridiculous. It's as if, you go to join ICE, you go to join Border Patrol, and all the white guys are looking at you, staring you down, and they're just waiting for you to like fail so you can so you can get in trouble or get fired, or even at worst, like when you talk about preservation, at worst deport you or get rid of you altogether.
I mean, these people hate you. They hate you. They hate your family. They hate your kids. They hate your future grandkids. They don't think you belong here. You're not a quote unquote heritage American. You're never going to belong. And you're the one implementing the violent force against your own community.
So this is wild. So if a, if a if a Hispanic or a Mexican American joins ICE, they obviously believe in what they're doing, just as the white ICE officers or agents believe what they're doing. And so they're united in the same cause. There is no I don't like you. I don't like your grandchildren. I don't like your heritage. I don't want you in this country. That's just a totally ridiculous thing. So this goes into like what a Mexican American is supposed to be. Like Mexican American feels perfectly fine in ICE and doing all this stuff. And then we have Mexican Americans here. So here we have protesters. This is sort of the other side of the coin. Mexican Americans who are against ICE. These are young kids. They're out there protesting. These are students coming out of school and protesting. But there's an interesting thing to this, and where do they get the education? Where do they get the understanding of their identity as Mexican Americans, as opposed to these other Mexican Americans who join ICE? What's the difference there? These kids are young. A lot of these kids, are in school. They're learning things from school. Their parents might be in different situations, whereas in a different legal status in the United States. But here's sort of an example. This is sort of a good interview, and here someone actually says it finally happened. And I mean, I guess it is the question to ask. He asked a Mexican kid waving the flag, like, why are you waving a flag? Why don't you go back to Mexico if you love it so much, or if it's so great? The follow-ups, I think he could have done a little bit better, but let's take a listen to this kid, and he's young, so there's some other kids that sort of give some good answers, but they're not really on top of things.
Why the fuck? What? Well, don't you love? Ash, you're a fucking bitch. Why? That's all I gotta say. You're a bitch. It, bitches, I swear.
What?
Well, if you love Mexico so much, why don't you go back there? Why the fuck? What? Well, don't you love Mexico?
So, so at first he catches himself. He says, "Why would I go back to Mexico? I mean, you have the flag. You're rooting for Mexico. You're against people that don't like Mexicans, but you wouldn't go back to Mexico. Like, why would I go back to Mexico? Why would I go to that country?"
You come here. Why?
And some other kids, respond, give a better answer to sort of support him here.
There's more fucking deporting us back.
Become successful here.
So the girl says there's more opportunities here. The kid says you can become successful here. So obviously they realize even with ICE and all this Gestapo, dictator, the lack of democracy, all these bad things that the left are saying about the United States, they would still rather be in the United States with the Gestapo, with ICE agents, with violence, with people that hate brown people. You're in a country with all these bad things against brown people, against us Mexican Americans, against us Mexicans, but we would still rather be here than in Mexico. So that's sort of crazy. It doesn't really make sense. You could show love for Mexico. You can have the flag. I have the flag. I have the U.S. flag. Um, but I'm willing to say, Mexico has some very negative aspects to it. But I'd actually live there. I would actually go there. I understand the points that these guys are making, and we'll talk about cartels a little bit. They mention it here. Let's go ahead and listen to that.
Okay, but then.
They escaped
So.
fucking cartel to come here. Just have a better life. You guys take
So you think that we should have an open border?
So that wasn't the follow-up question that I would ask, but he was saying the cartel, like they escaped the cartels. Basically, his parents probably escaping the cartel, and not necessarily that they're targeted by the cartel, but there's activities that present danger to the normal citizen by the cartel. So that's that's the thing that people try to say that they escape from.
Yeah, you guys should have an open border.
You said that they're escaping the cartel, but what happens if we have an open border? The cartel gets to come here. Like what happened? It proved under Joe Biden.
We can defeat the cartel.
We can you want to have war with the cartel?
I go to Mexico every weekend. The cartel, they don't do shit to you unless you're a dumb fuck. But
Yeah, get him the hell out.
Okay, so so those are some 2 points at the very end there that he makes. Um, the girl made the point, the cartels only mess with you if you're bad. And then the other one guy said the cartel only messes with you if you do dumb stuff. Um, so yeah, if you mess with the cartels, if you think you're big and bad with the cartels, yeah, you can get in trouble. Or if you're a journalist doing your job, you can get in trouble. If you're a random citizen with a business, you need to pay your tax. If the cartel tries to shake you down, you have to do that. Um, leverage that they might do with kidnappings, with threats. That's a constant fear that people live with, and some people live with in Mexico in certain areas, not all areas. But a lot of people stay there as well. I think more so than the cartel dangers that are out there It's the economy, the opportunities for young kids, or just the temptation of the mighty dollar. Like I wanna go make some bucks, um, and live that lifestyle. And then the kids, when they grow there, they get pampered, they get Americanized. Even these kids with the Mexican flags, they're Americanized. Look at their English; it's pretty good. They like their iPhones, they like their clothes. They go to the outlets, they go to the mall. They're Americans. You can tell the difference between American and uh, and Mexicans, um, that live in Mexico. So this is silly. So this is going on the topic of identity. So we have, ICE agents that are Hispanic, that are Mexican Americans. We have Mexican Americans like these kids who are on the other side, sort of like, against all that. Maybe they see their parents that, don't have papers. Um, they're in school, they're being taught all this stuff, they're seeing this propaganda, and then they're going out and protesting. So then we go to the Super Bowl, and this is sort of ramping up. I think the Super Bowl sort of started from way before. The whole drama with this Super Bowl halftime show was the whole image of what Bad Bunny is, who Bad Bunny is. Bad Bunny is this guy who doesn't like ice. We know all that. He is against a lot of, right against a lot of like the American exceptionalism. He's very much, Latino, pro-Latino. And so coming into this, it was like, okay, what's he gonna do? Is he gonna be in a dress? Is he gonna do some woke stuff? Is he gonna do some crazy stuff? Um, and so that was the big question. And I think that reason polarized this show. So viewers were gonna look at it, not even just, fans of Bad Bunny, but also like, opponents of Bad Bunny are gonna see what he does, what woke stuff was gonna happen. But it actually turned out to be, not too bad. It's actually pretty good. I enjoyed it. I don't like the whole lyrics and music behind Bad Bunny. Is not very not very good, not very wholesome, if you want to say. So, that aspect of things. It's sort of like with rap music. Like you hear rap music and you say, that's not the ideal type of lifestyle and music that we want to teach our kids. It's sort of that way on the other side with Bad Bunny and his lyrics. The beat and everything is sort of catchy. The whole reggaeton vibe is sort of catchy. But it's not necessarily like I do listen to some, but it's not necessarily my style. It's not something that I would look for all the time. But the show was basically Hispanic life, Latino life on display for the whole world. So in the United States, we see it as a majority, American, majority white country. The Super Bowl, American sport. It's not an international sport, really. The NFL might want it to be, but there's a lot of Americans there. For the NFL to put on a Hispanic, a Puerto Rican, Latino artist, and to do his performance in Spanish is sort of like a boost to the Mexican lifestyle, to the Mexican or Hispanic or Latin, um, personality or identity. As say for myself, a Mexican American, I see this, I'm like, oh, cool, a culture of, my heritage. And this is what John Sutcliffe from ESPN sort of displays here in this clip. Let's take a listen because he's an interesting guy. He covers soccer, but he also does the NFL. And he sort of describes the situation. He does this in Spanish, and he gets really emotional, which I think is, I mean, that's okay for him. It's a little bit, in my opinion, over the top, too much. But let John have his time.
Como México norteamericano, hijo de una americana, la verdad fue muy emotivo. El mensaje que mandó Bonnie, te guste o no su música, con amor, con cultura, con cariño, ¿no? En un mundo que de repente todo el mundo se está peleando y reconocer a Lady Gaga.
Okay, so if you understand what he was saying, just he's saying it was a really emotional message that what Bad Bunny was saying, even though his music, the lyrics might be a little bit vulgar and things like that. The message in the evening was unity and love in a world where we're divided and where there's a lot of violence and fighting in the United States, which it's out there. It's politics stuff, but it's not a huge thing. I understand the emotions. I think the emotions come from this. The identity of Mexican Americans or Latinos is there, it's present. But if you see it boosted up amongst white people or typical Americans, white Americans, then you feel like your ego has been strengthened. You feel like your identity is known and display and put on display for others to see, and others are able to look at it and applaud it. And so that's like a boost to your ego, to your self-esteem. And I think that's what he's seeing. That's what a lot of Mexicans, whenever they see, a white guy love tacos or a white guy love Mexican culture, and then you're like, oh yeah, man, I love you. I love how you white Americans or you Europeans are getting into my culture, and it makes me feel better. It boosts my self-esteem and my confidence. And so I think that's how he felt. He felt like my culture is being boosted up, and I needed this in my life to sustain a good feeling about myself and about my culture. And so that helps, that helps a lot, I guess, of these types of people. For me, I thought it was okay. I thought it was cool. There's some parts of the show, the performance, like the vulgarity and stuff, I could do without. The style of reggaeton is catchy, but it's not my preferred. um, the flags and everything, the whole United of America. I'm okay with that, but on the other side, it's also like a lot of white Americans could probably be offended by that and say, like here he is, with all the flags, and you'd probably say like, so this is sort of like I mean, it's United, and it could also be like a dig. Whenever you are a Latino or say a Mexican, and someone tells you the United States of America, in Spanish, the United States of America, Estados Unidos de América. America is the response to that to sort of bring down the USA to a notch or so, and then boost your own Latino heritage is to say America is a continent. It's not a country. When in actuality, it's both. It's the American continent and it's America, the country, the United States of America. Just happens to be the name, just like the United States Mexicano, United States of Mexico. So, so that's sort of like another example of sort of a boost of your ego, a boost of your sense of identity that's going on here. And we see this with Club America. This is a soccer club for in Mexico, and this is just history. This is just the way it is for Club America, and it's not really like a dig or anything. It's just the American continent. This is a Mexican club. They called themselves Club America, and America because of the continent, not really the country of the U.S. So that's sort of what I wanted to discuss a little bit about is the identity of us as Mexican Americans. And sometimes we like or we enjoy the boost of it and the showcase of our culture amongst other people, and that they enjoy it, and then it makes us feel better. I would propose that we don't really need that. We have, our own, self-esteem, we have our own identity, and we know what's good about. We know the culture, we know the food of our different countries of Mexico, and we enjoy it, we love it, and we don't need, other white Americans to validate us and to make us feel like, okay, yeah, it's cool. Your sombrero is awesome, and I like the whole vibes and everything of your culture, of your Mexican culture, and let's go to Mexico and stuff like that. No, I don't need that. It's okay if you want to do that, but maintain your own self-esteem through inner strength, and that's my point of view on all this. So we'll discuss more, continue to have more discussions as all these topics come around.